NBC7 News at 11 starts now.
Trying to heal in San Bernardino. Tonight, hundreds of people come together remembering the 14 men and women lost in one of the worst mass shootings in Southern California.
I was there and then I left, and I'm watching my coworkers on TV going into buses and walking with their hands held high, and it's just surreal.
We now know 2 of the guns used were bought here in San Diego County. And tonight, the heroes who saved the wounded talk about the chaotic scene they ran into.
You train for it and you know that your job is dealing in reality, but it seemed a little surreal, but yet I did the job that I was supposed to do. People don't call the police because they're having a great day. They call because there's tragedy going on.
And now people are praying for peace, trying to understand why this happened.
Let us draw strength from this event as we work closely together to help one another.
Thanks very much for joining us. We have team coverage on this terrible tragedy, including new information. NBC7's Candace Wen has the latest on the gunman's weapons bought here in San Diego.
Omari Fleming has more about those killed, but we begin with NBC7's Dave Summers, who is in San Bernardino tonight, where the community did just come together to remember the victims. Dave?
The scoreboard over my shoulder tonight read San Bernardino Strong, Mark and Catherine, but there was no better illustration of that than the 3,500 people that packed the stands here to share their sorrow and community support. The impact of the mass shooting at the Inland Regional Center is borne on the faces of those that came to mourn, to cry, and remember.
I just found out that one of my coworkers is one of the victims, so it's very difficult.
Valerie Manabusen is a case manager at IRC. She left the building just 2 hours before the massacre and can't help feeling some survivor's guilt.
My friend is dead. My life is not more valuable than his.
They may not share the same close call, but the thousands of people gripping candles in the stands all feel a connection to this tragedy. American Muslim Omar Siddiqui and family members are here to show their civic solidarity.
We are part of San Bernardino, California, United States of America, and we're proud of that.
Angela Duden is holding a third generation of her family that grew up here. She mustered all the courage she could to support her community.
Here, it's scary, you wonder, you're coming together to say that was wrong, and, what if they don't like that?
In a gripping finale, the stadium lights were lowered while the name of each victim was read aloud.
Michael Wetzel. I don't want them to forget. I want them to be aware.
The next step is perhaps the first step past this tragic page in San Bernardino history. There was a strong police presence here tonight. Many officers wearing their patrol uniforms, also others wearing battle fatigues. The 2-hour vigil, though, went without incident. Reporting live in San Bernardino, I'm Dave Summers, NBC7.
Thanks, Dave.
So we did learn the names of the victims this afternoon, but now tonight we're learning their stories. We're getting a glimpse into their lives, who they are.
NBC7's Omari Fleming continues our coverage you can count on with how family and friends are remembering the loved ones they lost. Omari.
Well, Mark and Catherine, 14 people's lives stolen, many of them at work, a place you'd hope to feel safe. Tonight, a look at the people killed at the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino and the loved ones they have left behind.
40-year-old Robert Adams, beloved husband and loving father to Savannah. Next week, he was supposed to take the 20-month-old love of his life to Disneyland for her first trip. Unfortunately, that won't happen. Adams, one of the 14 people killed in the massacre at the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino. They were targeted during a Christmas party. This was the moment Ryan Reyes found out his partner died. He'd held out hope Daniel Kaufman escaped work alive.
I immediately freaked out, tried to call him, text him.
Yvette Velasco among the deceased, her family still processing what they call the nightmare that took the 27-year-old woman from them. Tin Wynn's family and friends talked about her desire to help people and love of family. Michael Wetzel, a father of 6, coached youth soccer. Damian Means, a health worker who played Santa for children. Sierra Claiborne loved protecting people as a health inspector. And Nicholas Telesino's wife, Jennifer, now leaning on her faith and her final memory.
We got an extra hug and a kiss before he left, so I'm just holding on to that.
Among the 21 wounded survivors, San Diego-born Julie Swan Paez. Family members say she sent a group text that read, "Love you guys," was shot. Her son gave us this picture of her healing after surgery at Loma Linda Medical Center.
You know, the other 14 people that have passed away, and those, you know, our hearts out to them and our prayers are to them too.
Carlos Ortiz's son Kevin recovering after being shot 5 times. Ortiz remembering the frantic call from his son.
I got shot, Dad, and he says, I says, where are you at, where are you at? And he knows, I love you, and he says, all it hurts and there's a lot of blood, and that's pretty much hung up.
And want to give you a look at these pictures just in of 2 other victims killed in the shooting. Family members sent us this picture of 46-year-old Harry Bowman. He is a father of 2. And this is Aurora Godoy, another victim in the Inland Regional Center shooting. She is a 26-year-old wife and mother to 2-year-old Alexander. Friends say she was positive, fun, and loving. Now, we've learned that 12 of the 14 people that are deceased were county employees. Omari Fleming, NBC7.
All right, thanks, Omari.
So there are still some deceased victims whose photos have not been released, but we wanted to make sure that they are remembered tonight. 45-year-old Shannon Johnson is from Los Angeles. Bonita Betbadal is 46 years old. She is from Rialto. 60-year-old Isaac Amanios was from Fontana.
Larry Kaufman was a 42-year-old man from Rialto. 27-year-old Sierra Claiborne was from Moreno Valley. And 50-year-old Juan Espinosa was from Highland.
Also tonight we got the chance to hear from that police officer who was the first person to arrive at the scene to see everything that was going on and all of the carnage left by those San Bernardino shooters.
Yeah, his name is Lieutenant Mike Madden. He was raised in San Bernardino. He says he considers it his city, and he normally serves an administrative position. He spends most of his time behind a desk, but yesterday he was on his way to lunch when the call of the shooting went out. During a news conference tonight, he talked about what happened next.
And I could hear it in our dispatcher's voice that this was actually happening. This was a real event, and it was the event that, you know, we have an active shooter, and we have an active shooter going on in our city. As we entered into the conference room, the situation was surreal. It was something that I don't think, again, we prepare for, and they try to, an active shooter, we talk about sensory overload, they just try to throw everything at you to prepare you for dealing with that. What you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're smelling, and it was all of that and more. It was unspeakable, the carnage that we were seeing, the number of people who were injured and unfortunately already dead, and the pure panic on the face of those individuals that were still in need and needing to be safe. There's so much tragedy that's left behind. There's so many families as we go into these holiday seasons that are now going to have to deal with the tragedy that were left behind by this senseless acts of violence. That's a little tough to deal with.
First you arrived there on the scene. We also wanted to share with you an interview with a man who knew the gunman and actually worked with him.
So this man was in the restroom when the shooting started, and being there may have saved his life.
Somebody asked, well, where's Saeed? Well, I didn't realize he wasn't there at the moment. I left to use the restroom. I hear explosions. The wall's pummeling. I look back at the mirror. I see I'm bloodied on my face. We just secured the restroom so nobody could enter. How? I laid on the floor and put my feet against the door. And I had the other gentleman beside me do the same.
Did the gunman come into the restroom? Did you
He wasn't going to be able to get in. I guess if he did, he'd been over our dead bodies.
And let's take a moment tonight and also talk about that unfortunate big local connection as well. 2 guns used in the San Bernardino attacks were purchased right here in San Diego, according to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF.
NBC7's Candace Wynn has this new information and joins us now. Candace?
Well, Mark and Catherine, the ATF says one of the suspected shooters, Saeed Farouk, bought a pistol at a Turner's Outdoorsman store right here in San Diego, and that one of his acquaintances bought a rifle at that same store for him, making some wonder why San Diego, and are there other local connections? The ATF confirms 2 of the 4 firearms used in the San Bernardino mass shooting, a pistol and rifle seen here, were legally purchased at a San Diego Turner Outdoorsman store between 2011 and 2012. San Diego County has 3 locations, one in Kearny Mesa, one in El Cajon, and one in San Marcos. Officials have yet to say at which location suspected shooter Saeed Farouk and an acquaintance bought the firearms. On Thursday, a search of the suspect's Redlands home and car turned up thousands of rounds of ammunition, rifles, pipe bombs, and tools to make IEDs. At the scene, authorities found a rigged pipe bomb that never detonated. A senior law enforcement source told NBC News the suspects, Farouk and his wife, appeared to have tried and failed to modify one of their weapons to be fully automatic. Authorities have yet to release a motive, but say Farouk appeared to have been radicalized and in touch with people in the LA area who've expressed jihadist-oriented views.
As we've said from day one, this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a tragedy that occurred. We will continue to do everything in our power, bringing all the resources to bear of the federal government to work hand in hand with our state and local partners on this matter. We continue to exploit all the evidence possible. And as I've said from day one, the evidence will lead us to the facts. We will go where the evidence takes us.
Tonight, NBC7 went to all 3 Turner's Outdoorsman store in the county, but the employees said they could not give us information. We contacted their corporate office, and we're still waiting to hear back. Candace Wen, NBC7.
All right, Candace, thanks.
There are just so many developments to this story, and we do have complete coverage of all of them on our NBC7 mobile app.
Still ahead on this extended edition of NBC7 News at 11, authorities investigating a fatal crash on Friars Road. The details our newsroom just got on the other side of the break.
Also in a story you will only see on NBC7, our investigative team speaks to the people who held San Diego police responsible for alleged misconduct, why they say the group that is supposed to keep you safe is actually rigged.
And the extra security in place to keep everyone feeling safe at December nights in Balboa Park. Next on NBC7, coverage you count on.
And we do have a little bit of a cool down on the way, and then wait till you see the temperatures in store for us this weekend. I'll be back with that 7-day forecast after the break.